So let me tell you just a little bit about Friends for Life. We've actually been in existence for about 36 years now. We have 8 different programs. We're currently in about 82 different counties. And so we're growing. We're growing. We've actually outgrown the campus where we're at. We have no more capacity, and we are needing to build a larger campus so that we can do a better job of serving a lot more seniors and persons with IDD and things like that. And so I want y'all to just stay tuned in, watch for updates and things like that. We have really big plans. If you want to help and partner in any way, please reach out because that's going to enable us to do a lot more of the things that we're currently doing. All of the programs that we have here at Friends for Life, at the very core of everything, the very heart of everything, is just trying to help people stay safer and healthier, happier, living as independently as possible. That's different for everybody. As best they can for as long as they can. So keep that in mind about Friends for Life. My program is our Lifelines program, and so I actually take inquiry calls from all over the state of Texas. I try and connect people with services that can help, with different organizations and agencies for referrals. I do care consultations, do a lot of dementia care consults with folks for their family members. So now I want to go ahead and introduce Tammy and Tiffany. They're with Home Instead. They're going to spend just a few brief minutes talking to us a little bit. One of you, both of you, come on up. A little bit about Home Instead. Home Instead was so gracious to provide snacks for everybody, so please get a snack bag. It's got a drink and snacks in there, and also the door prize. They provide home care services, so not only are they a great partner for doing things like this for us and making it a little bit more fun for you guys, but they provide an excellent service. It's all you.
Yay! Hi,
come on over here.
We're so glad to see you guys. So yes, we're with Home Instead. She told us to find a fun fact about Home Instead to share, and so I held down our owner today, and I'm like, what do you want me to say? Because it's me. So he's like, let's talk about, and this is a very important thing, this is what drew me to work at Home Instead, is while we are the largest company in what we do in the non-medical personal home care, you don't hear about us all over the web, all over your TV, all over billboards and all of that, because we keep it low key. We keep it, we're looking at quality over quantity. So when we provide care for people, it's quality care. We're not spread so thin that we've got caregivers going to 15 different clients and trying to balance all of that. But we love what we do. We're very family-centered. We're very care-centered. Everybody in our office has provided care on some basis. The people who founded Home Instead back in the 90s did so because they took care of grandparents and realized there was a need. The gentleman who opened our franchise, same thing, took care of his parents. There was a need. Lance took care of grandparents. There was a need. So he's like, this is perfect. So it's not like McDonald's. I tell people we're not here to spend a nickel on a burger and charge you $5. We're here to make a change in the community. And
thank you, Home Instead. So, in other words, it's all really personal, right? Very, very personal. So, really appreciate Home Instead. You guys are awesome.
Yes,
thank you so much for all you do. Okay, so I am really, really thrilled to introduce to you Susan Edwards. We met, I think, about 12 years ago or so.
Probably.
Something like that. And so I'm telling you, but I'd never seen her bio until I think I did a long time ago. I just forgot. She's done this for me before. But it's very impressive. Very, very impressive. I don't even know. She's got these initials after her name. I don't even know what they stand for. I have no idea. Never seen those before. But she's also an LCSW. And so she's been a spiritual director, a psychotherapist specializing in inner child healing, marriage, parenting, abuse, grief programs. She's developed and facilitated workshops regarding family of origin effects, community building, as well as becoming a master trainer for Area Agency on Aging regarding some of their evidence-based classes, which are amazing. They've got like Stress Busters and Matter of Balance and some classes like that. Awesome. So then she went ahead and became a master trainer with regard to those too. And much more. It's like she's been published, and like lots of different things, right? So she is amazing. I don't know, but I also kind of wonder sometimes if you've had some experience at improv. because she plays really well off the crowd. So
No, I have not. But I might tell that story, actually.
it fits. So we're going to have Susan help us understand, kind of taking a real humorous look at strengths and weaknesses, kind of our like woes and success stories, right? How personally and professionally our family of origin really affects our lives for better or for worse, right? And then, so the better we can understand that, we can also better understand people that we're caring for and things of that nature. Am I good?
Yes, you're good.
All right,
Wow.
so take us away.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? But I want you all to hear something. You heard all I've done. I have 1 year of undergraduate work in 1959. That is the only college that I had, actually. And so I did it all by talking myself into things. So I now hold, I went away to the University of Missouri. I will say, I was doing the work, and the state of Missouri started licensing clinical social workers, and so I became an LCSW. And then I had a job with the Archdiocese of St. Louis where I was in charge of programs, and Loyola University had a master's program, and so since I was running it, I now hold a master's in pastoral studies with my 1 year of college. So don't think, and here's the deal. I'm a psychotherapist who's never had one course in psychology. So I really want you to hear that, never. But I am very excited to do this workshop. I have been doing it for 40 years, if you can believe it. And the reason I can be excited is because it's going to be interactive, and I can pretty much say I have learned something new every time that I have done it. And because you're going to help me with this, and you're going to ask me questions. So having said that, I want you to ask me questions. If you don't understand something or you have a comment, please stop me. Is that a deal? Yes.
I have a question. Not a question. I have a comment.
Okay.
I forgot to tell y'all, this is being recorded.
Oh, yeah.
So I do want you to know this is going to be on a YouTube channel where we're trying to list all of our educational opportunities, and we're also on Zoom. So
Okay.
be careful what you say.
No, okay. So, having said that, I know that you're here for the secret survival kit for caregivers. What I will tell you is I'm going to show you something first, a demonstration, and I'm going to tie it all in at the end, okay, of how it fits. Is that a deal? Okay. So, before I go any further, I want to know by a show of hands how many people were raised in some kind of a family. Oh, good. I've got the right audience. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about dysfunctional families. So what percentage do you think that the experts say our families are dysfunctional? Just give me a percentage. 100. Yeah. Okay, wait, you got just one at a time. 100. 100. Okay, well, they only say 97 to 98% because it's all of you in here, the other 2 or 3%, right? Okay. Now, do you know why our families are dysfunctional? I'll tell you. Because we were raised by human beings who make lots of mistakes. So here's my first caveat. I'm going to be talking about my family of origin. And my family of origin, especially my parents, made some really big mistakes with me. But I have 2 daughters, and I made some really big mistakes. They were just different ones. That's all it was. Here's what's important. I believe that each of us, if we can remember this, give better than we got. And I can guarantee you my parents gave better than they got, and my grandparents, and my great-grandparents. And you know what? If you want to talk about a dysfunctional family, and I mean no blasphemy, you go all the way back to Adam and Eve, and one of their kids killed the other, okay? I mean, you talk about the paradigm for a dysfunctional family. So I'm going to be using some of you to demonstrate with me because I'm going to show you what a family looks like, this family of origin. And I'm going to need volunteers, and I will promise you one thing. I will not embarrass you. I will not embarrass you, okay? So I promise you on that. So I think I'm ready for my first volunteer. Who would like to be my first volunteer? Oh, I'm here. Thank you. Oh, you're so good. I appreciate you.
Oh, do I stand up?
You got to stand up. Oh, yes. In fact, what's your name?
Tanis.
Nana.
Tanis.
Tana.
Tanis. Tanis. Tanis.
Tanis. Okay,
Yes.
that's a pretty name.
Thank you.
I know a Tana. That's why I said that.
Okay.
Tanis. And her sister's name is Lana.
Oh.
Tana and Lana, which I think is kind of funny. Okay, so Tanis, I would need for you just to come over here and stand here. Okay. We're going to say for a minute that Tanis was raised in a very functional family, which means that there was a lot of attention and love, and because of that, she got some self-esteem, and she grew up and felt like, you know, the world was a safe place, and so she was able then to get an education and hold a job. Okay, now I don't meet many of Tanis's in my
Me either.
yeah, me either, and me either. So now we're going to have to say that Tanis grew up in a family where she had a disabled brother. Okay. And mom, through no fault of her own, had to spend a lot of time on that little brother. What happens is, in a family with something like that, there will be an inordinate amount of time, attention, and energy that is not going to her. So she's going to develop a lot of coping measures to be able to get that love and attention, okay? And so what happens is, let's just say one day she's coming home from school and a big dog comes out and scares her to death, okay? And she goes running home to mom, who's already overwhelmed and tired, and mom says, I can't deal with that right now. I've got just too much, okay? So that little girl hears that. It wounds her. There's like a little wound that goes in there. And so she has to somehow or another cover up that wound, but it's always there. It's always there. And I'm going to demonstrate this by showing you that it's called our baggage. Okay, do you wonder what these were up there for? You thought I wasn't going to sit on the mat and do yoga. Okay, so there's her baggage. I'm going to move this back a little bit. There's her baggage. Okay, now I need another volunteer. And you know, Clay, I'm just going to ask you to do it. I need a male. I need a male. So, we got a lot of women in this room. Okay, so now we've got Clay. All right, and we're going to say that Clay grew up in another one of those families where he really was admired and loved and cared for, and he felt like the world was a safe place. So he'll be walking down the street and he'll see Tanis. Now, I will tell you, he won't know what that is, but he's going to know that is not, and you know what? Tanis can try and hide it. She can hold it down here. There's something about us that we recognize it, okay? All right, so there are not many of him either. So he's going to have his baggage, and I'm going to tell you why he gets his. Clay was raised in a family where his dad was a perfectionist. And he was a little guy who made mistakes, and his dad would say, "You're so stupid, you know, can't you do anything right?" And then Clay would probably start to cry, and his dad would say, "Shut up, or I'm going to give you something to cry about," okay? Unfortunately, I wish that weren't true, but it is. So anyway, we're going to give Clay his. All right, now he's walking, now he's walking down the street, and he sees Tanis. And you know what? The baggage isn't the same, but it's a match set. Can you see that? Yeah. And here's what happens. They will find each other across a crowded room. I'm telling you. So you two, get together. Okay. All right. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, they will find, it amazes me how we do. There's an energy we put out that says this is gonna go inside. All right. You two stand stand together,
Okay.
shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
And today I'm going to marry them. Okay. All right. Now.
Didn't know that was going to happen.
All right. And I'm glad you're young, because he's very young. So anyway. All right. So now they get to make life together. Okay. And the problem, though, with this one, there's a little problem that comes up in the marriage that causes some trouble. And I will show you what that is. Ta-da, 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 ta-da! Alcohol. All right. He's learned to cope with alcohol. You know, I did this for teenagers once, and they saw that can and thought they were going to get beer. They thought there was something in it. Okay. So now they have to, here's what happens. He doesn't go to work. She thinks, first of all, that he is going to provide for her and take care of her, and she's all ready for all of that. But the thing is, he didn't go to work because he's hungover, so she figures out I can call the boss and I can make up for him and it'll all be okay. And after a while, I'm going to show you the relationship that they end up with. I'm going to move this back. You two stay there a minute. Okay, Clay.
Move it all the way back?
No. Okay, so you stand there. Okay, and you come over and put that. Yeah, there. Okay. Yeah.
There you go, hold that.
All right.
And that doesn't last long because the alcohol takes effect, turn around, and you put it on her. There you go. And that's what's going to develop. She will become the enabler. She will take on all of the responsibilities in her life. Not only that, it will be, she's...
Do I get this too, though?
Yeah. Actually, you don't get that. You just turn neurotic and have depression.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. And what'll happen is that over the years, she kind of is that martyr, the enabler and the martyr. And it's a really hard position to be, but she's also Catholic. So she has to stand by my man, okay? Divorce is not an option. And years ago, divorce wasn't an option for anybody. So now we end up with this scenario. But they think, well, there's probably one thing that will maybe fix this. That'll make us all. Oh, I can see you saying it. I can say it. Say what you just said to her. A baby? Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw. Yes. So a baby's going to fix this. Okay. So now I would like another volunteer.
Go for it, Larry.
Who wants to be the child?
Where's Larry? Okay, come on, Larry. All right. Now here's what I need you to do. I need to put the chair. I need to turn it around, and you two stand behind the chair because he's going to sit down.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I get it. Yeah,
Not for long. No, okay. You choose.
Don't get too comfortable.
Assume your positions.
Oh, like this?
There you go. Okay. All right. Now, I want you to.
Yeah.
I want you to pretend that Larry is a little kid, okay? And he's looking up at mom and dad, okay? And he's going, whoa, It's really scary. You know what? I used to make people sit on the floor when they did this, and they'd look up at that and it's kind of overwhelming because it's hard to figure out what's going on here, okay? But he knows one thing. He has got to fit in this family. His very survival depends on fitting in this family and getting attention and love. And I'm going to show you how he does it. Okay. First of all, can you already imagine he's probably going to have some baggage looking at that? Because they are way busy with all of their, all of the fuster that's going on there, right? So, okay. So, here's your baggage. Here's your baggage. And you can stand up.
Okay.
All right. And now I'm going to show you what you do. You get one hand under dad. You hold that, and you get one hand under dad and one hand under mom to help him. Better, mom? Okay. Yes. So, okay. So what this is a role. He's figured out how to fit. We have to fit. We've got to keep a fit. And this role is called the family hero. And his job is to show the world that the family is okay. Okay? So, while they're standing there just for a minute, I was the family hero. Okay? I mean, you probably could have guessed that. Okay. So, I'm going to go back to my high school years. In high school, I was the captain of the cheerleaders. Green and gold, fight, fight, green and gold, fight, fight. I was the captain of the volleyball team. I was the captain of the basketball team. I made straight A's. There was no honor society. I founded it and became the president. I was president of the Future Homemakers of America. I was president of the Future Teachers of America. I played in the band. I played French horn. And here's what happened when I had to cheerlead at a basketball game. Okay, I would cheerlead. But I also was a band player, so my French horn, at halftime, I would go get off my cheerleading outfit, put on my band uniform, play my French horn. But I also was a flag twirler.
Oh, how did you manage that?
So, All right, here you go. And a baton twirler. All right, see? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, so, and that was my baton, but then I twirled my flags, okay? And then I got out of my band uniform, and I got back into my cheerleading outfit and cheered the game. All of that was to say to the world that I had a functional family. And the reality is, I'm going to put this back here, that my dad was a pre-Vatican II Catholic, and my mother was a Pentecostal fundamentalist. And my dad, the pre-Vatican II Catholic, thought all Pentecostals were crazy, and my mom thought that all Catholics were heathens. And so in my life, this sounds like an exaggeration, the reason I could be a good psychotherapist was I started intensive psychotherapy at 19 years old, and over the years, I have had 60 therapists, counselors, spiritual directors. I started on a healing journey at 19 years old, and I finally made it, and I'm grateful for that. You know, I thought that sounded like an exaggeration, but I recently moved, and I found a list of all the 60 that I had made over the years. So my mom and dad, I know they loved each other, but there was no physical abuse, but there was contempt. My dad, you know, they each thought we were going to hell. That was the problem. And you put a kid in the middle of that who's sensitive, it just really, it wounded me. It just, you know, I can talk about it now through all the healing, but it was really, really hard. Okay. So that's the family hero. Can you see? But you can see nobody would have known that, right? I mean, it looked like everything was okay. So I need another volunteer.
No.
Please. And what is your name?
Deanna.
Deanne?
Deanna.
Dina. Can you get out?
Looks like we had another kid. You're getting a sister.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
Yeah, you're going to sit here. Yes, you are. There you go. Okay. Okay. And Deanne, I want you to look at that family. Whoa. It is pretty overwhelming when you sit and look at that, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Do we know she's going to get baggage? Do we already know that? Okay. All right. Here's your baggage. All right. Now, she's got to figure out a way to fit. I mean, I'm going to tell you, Larry has taken this over. You know, one time I was doing this, and the person tried to get into this, and the person playing Larry involuntarily kicked her. I mean, he's paid a heavy price to get here, people. I'm telling you, he had to give up pretty much his own identity and take care of them and show the world. And you know, by the way, by the time I got to college, since I only had 1 year, because I was so burned out from all of that I quit after a year. That's why I only had one. You know, that high school took it out of me. Okay, so you can stand up, and this role is called the scapegoat or the rebel, okay? So you stand over here and you look at that family and you hold your fist up, okay? So here's what's gonna happen. This family has to stay in balance. So the more he performs, the worse she is, okay? That's how the balance works. See it? Okay, so here's what happened. Mom and Dad were called to school because Larry was getting an award nobody had ever gotten. His behavior and his intelligence, and everybody was applauding, the whole school. Now, they were also called to school the next day because Deanne tried to burn it down, okay? See, it's like, so the worse, the better he is, the worse she's gonna be. Okay, got it? All right. So, you know what? I'm gonna show you this, and then I'm gonna go over what happens with these roles, like what happens in their life. So so that they can sit down. So I need another volunteer.
Sarah. I'm coming.
All right, here's Sarah. All right, Sarah. Okay, Sarah. There you go.
Okay.
What do you think?
It's a lot.
I'm telling you, this is where
We already got one to blame.
this is World War III. This is World War III.
Everybody's fighting.
Yeah, very much so. A lot of tension in this house, right? She gets her baggage, right? Okay. So, what's Sarah going to do? This is the lost child, okay? Sarah is going to take off and be in her room and she's going to stay in her room forever. She wants out of it. So you can get up and pretend like you're drawing on that board. Okay. All right. So that's the lost child. We need one more baby.
Can you stop?
One more volunteer. I know. You know what, Tanis? But see, you got to remember. Wait a minute. The reason come up. The reason they're not stopping is they're hoping for another one of these. They're not going to quit. Are you kidding?
Perfection.
I know, perfection. And you are
Cecilia.
Cecilia. Okay, Cecilia. What do you think, babe? What do you think? Now, we haven't heard from her for a while. You sit down to dinner, Mom says, "Where's Sarah?" Mom says, I haven't heard a peep out of her all day, okay? So you're going to get your baggage, right? And her baggage is going to be a little different. This is going to be kind of not a different color and baggage because I'm going to tell you, you can stand up, she is the mascot, okay? And I'm going to tell you one thing about the mascot before they sit down. The mascot can identify and get along with every single role. And I'm going to show you how she does it. So she goes, Sarah is she's very non-threatening, and she plays with Sarah. And Sarah's not afraid of her, okay? Because she's all about fun and games, okay? And also she goes here and she says, you know what? Our old man really drinks too much, but it tells you exactly what you need. By the way, this person is the identified patient. They're going to all go into therapy, and everybody's going to point the finger at the scapegoat, the rebel. It's all your fault. See, they don't ever deal with that other problem that Clay's got there. Yeah, okay. So, and not only that, she's able to go to Larry and say, "Oh, you're my big brother, and I'm so proud of you." When I go to school and they say, "Are you his sister?" And so she totally flatters him, okay? Then she goes to Mom, you can go behind, and she says to Mom, "Mom, I see how hard you work and how much you suffer. I know it's really, really hard. You do so well." Now she comes back by Dad, and guess what she shares with Dad? There you go. I had a feeling. Did you hear what she said? It's true, I did. I had a feeling when you came up that was what you were going to. I could have told you what you were before you came up. Okay, so I'm going to go through some more of this. Would you give my players a hand, please? And you can all just put your pillows over there. All right. Now I want to look for a little bit. At the role. So I told you about that family hero. Okay, let's talk about first, what kind of professions do you think that the family hero will go into as they become an adult? Management, yes, very good. What else? Okay, if you would raise, no, I want you to raise your hand so I can hear you, because, go ahead, tell me.
Oh, I was saying social work.
So, definitely social work. What else? Yes.
Teacher, nurse.
Oh, yes, teacher, nurse, anything to be in charge, yes. Doctor, yes. Therapist, of course, social work, yes. Can you see, like he's already primed to know what to do? The problem with that role is he becomes a young adult. He loses his childhood because he's in the middle of these two people and taking on an adult role. So that really makes it hard. Here's the problem with any of these roles I'm going to describe. Being a doctor, being a nurse, teacher, those are all good occupations, professions. But because this family was this way, they lose the ability to not people please. They have to people please. So they don't say no to things, which means they're going to burn out. It's really a role that burns out. I knew a man once who was a doctor, and he hurt his leg and could not be a doctor. And he ended up having a nervous breakdown. It was like once he lost that role, that he couldn't function with it. Does that make sense? By the way, any questions before we go on? Any question that came when you were watching this? Yes.
So I remember learning a little bit about birth order theory, and so there was some, but it's been a long time ago, and so I don't remember everything. But there was something about like the role, so it's kind of similar to what you're talking about. But there was like a rule, if there was more than like 5 years or 7 years in between births, that it kind of repeated and started over, that'd be like a first child.
Right.
Firstborn child, but maybe also have traits of the teenage.
Yeah, good question, because what I'm I'm gonna answer that too. What I'm presenting to you is a paradigm, okay? It's like the firstborn doesn't have to be the family hero. In some families, the firstborn woman could never be a family hero, okay? That just, in my family really, even though I acted like one, my brother was really the family hero, because in my family, girls were girls. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, so, but the other thing is that, yes, what'll happen is we're always looking for a fit. And so my one friend always felt like a family hero to me. But what I realized was she was one of 9 children. So by the time they got to the 5th child, it was time for another family hero, because she had a brother in prison, you know, she had a sister, you know, who didn't do much. She had a family hero in the beginning. So it's a good schema, and people can fit it in, but of course there's variances in it. Okay, so now let's move on to the scapegoat. So what occupations do you think the scapegoat ends up? Our rebel can be rebel. What occupation do you think they end up in?
Architect?
I'm sorry?
Architect?
Yes, can be an architect.
Unemployed? Unemployed?
What?
Unemployed?
Unemployed. Yes. Yes. And yes. Oh, yes. And also police officer, you know. Yeah, see, yeah. You know, military, you know, boxing, a boxer. Do you know? He's probably not going to be a tennis player. You know, it's football and boxing. So it's just that thing of fighting out against the world because he's being scapegoated. You know, the problem in this family was back to mom and dad with that alcoholism and all that baggage that they never got rid of. And so it's almost like that scapegoat's being punished for that and shamed for that. And so my concern is how many of the people in prison are just the scapegoat in a family, you know, that never really had a chance to heal because maybe the family never did any healing. They were always the identified patient. Does that make sense? But one thing I want you to know, a scapegoat can do very well in life because they go, I'll show you, okay? The problem with that is when your energy is out of like revenge or an I'll show you, that energy is not a good energy to live your life. It makes for a really unhappy person at some level. And the other thing that's going to happen is that scapegoat is going to marry, if that scapegoat is a Jewish boy, he's going to marry the first Catholic girl that he meets. It kind of just works that way. And the scapegoat is the one role that tends to be involved in drugs because the drug culture. That's how he feels like he fits or she fits. Does that make sense? That's where the family hero is generally not into like alcohol and drugs because that doesn't look good, okay? Also, the family hero doesn't often have a lot of divorces because that doesn't look good. The scapegoat, divorce can be there, but mainly they're looking for that connection with the drug thing. Now let's go to the lost child. Okay, what kind of jobs do you think the lost child's going to have as she grows up?
A computer programmer.
A computer programmer is the perfect occupation. You know, you're just kind of lost in your own world, and yes, that's perfect.
Librarian.
That's it, librarian. I mean, what better job? You know, you're into books and quiet for sure.
A writer.
Yes, very much into writing. This is the role that is very much the poets and the writers and that kind of thing because they live in a world of imagination. You know, it's almost like they have to imagine their own world in there to avoid the reality of what's going on there. Anything else?
An artist or a graphic designer.
An artist and a graphic designer, exactly. Yes, very much so. Just that creative part of them and that quiet part and the thinking part. And usually the lost child is not a particularly extroverted person. And let's just say that person had like a really great singing voice. They would probably never be out there doing the solo. They would be in the robes in the choir, you know, so that they can just blend in. All they want to do is blend in so that they don't get in any trouble. That's what's important to them. Just kind of be a part of the family, but you know, just there. And there's another occupation that many of them go into. I'm going to tell you what it is. Veterinarian. Because People are scary, animals are safe. And they don't just have a cat or a dog. They have goldfish. They have snakes. They have dogs. They have kittens. You know, they really like their animals because people are just way too scary. Make sense? Okay. Yes.
So I guess the only kid is a combination of all that, because that's what I'm hearing. I'm like, I'm a combination of all of those as the only kid.
You know what? That's a good. She said she's a combination of all of those. Here's what happens. In times of stress, we all have a favorite one, and we go to that favorite one. That's what happens, because as we mature and we become adults, we learn to fill out all of those roles, kind of. But in times of stress, I'm showing you a stress model is what I'm showing. We go back. I'm going to give you an example. Years ago, my sister had melanoma, and she worked for my brother. All right. So the family hero and me went, rum, rum. Boy, did I go to town. I organized prayer groups, you know. I was at the hospital. I was talking to the doctors, everything. She worked for my brother, who's kind of the scapegoat, and he's going, oh, she's never coming to work. When's she ever going to come to work, you know? And my poor mom was going, oh, she's going to, I don't want to make fun of her. I'm kind of exaggerate this, but she's going to lose her leg. She's going to lose her leg. She's going to lose her leg. And this family hero was in action, you know, because to get through the stress of that. And my sister was a lost child. She was a lost child. That's all I could say. Was just quiet and just acquiescent, you know. And so once the stress was over, we kind of went back to more normal. So that's what I'm actually. The reason I'm telling you that is because when someone needs care, and that family is going to go into a stress model. That I was going to tie this up at the end, but that's why I'm showing you this. Okay, let's just say mom has now been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, okay? And the whole family goes, whoa! And so the family heroes probably got, all right, we need to do research. We need to do this. We need to do this. You know, the scapegoat goes, nah, I'm out of here, you know? The lost child just kind of retreats. You know, they just get more and more introverted, okay? The mascot's into, well, let's make mom happy. Let's make everything okay. I see you shaking your head. That is really the way it works. I mean, and because when that kind of stress happens, we age regress. I mean, we become kind of little kids again. And so it's really important to just know that. And if we know it, because I will tell you, I worked with a woman who moved in to take care of her parents. She was one of 7 children, okay? So the one sister lived out of town, so she would come in and tell them what they're all doing wrong. The rest of them got this mindset. Oh, Joanne needs to live with her parents because they need to take care of her. By the way, her parents were in the 90s, okay? Oh, yeah, you know, that's good for Joanne. You know, she can do it. As she took care of none of her family gave her any support or help in that. It's good for her. You know, now she's got somebody to live with, even though she had her own home. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. It gets really messy, people, really messy, you know, so.
So Susan?
I'm sorry?
So I missed this, I guess maybe the first time I ever heard you do this so many years ago. So you were saying that we regret into whatever role we assumed when we were born into the family in times of stress.
Yes.
That's like awful because
Well-
we're talking about somebody with dementia, right? Because then we're always saying they've regressed
Yes.
back to their, so we've got like everybody's regressed back, we've got all these kids.
Yeah, there's a name for that. It's called a double whammy. I'm sincere. It's a double whammy because what happens is this is a survival role. It's a coping mechanism, and we go to what we learn. Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you something. I want you all to do this. Cross your arms. Now cross them the other way. Okay. I know I'm even going to tell myself to do it, and I can't do it. What we learn first, we learn best. Whatever rules we earn back there, they are so ingrained, they are in our DNA. They will always come out, people. What we learn first, we learn best. Just doesn't go away. It's there. You know, I'm going to always have that family hero. I've done a lot of healing work. I can say no now to things. But, you know, in some ways, the good news with what's going on now, I don't really have to be the family hero because I'm old. I'm old, you know, I can't drive back and forth to Houston. Let's put it that way. You know, in fact, that was part of my problem. I knew that I could not drive 8 hours back and forth to Houston. And I thought, if Amy's got cancer and she's in surgery and that, how am I going to get Ansley to Houston? Okay. And that's when Clay deferred and is back in Waco, living at home. And so once he did that, it was like for me, and he did that, God spoke to him in prayer, right, Clay? God kind of said, I think you need to defer. And because nobody ever brought it up to him, and he just did it. And it took that weight off of me. I don't have to, I can pray and I can be there in Waco far, but I do not have to do it. I mean, so that's, so.
Okay, so then that makes me think of that saying, oh wait, now I forgot, because I was,
It's all right.
Because when you, because you were saying,
That you go back to that first thing that you identified as.
Yes.
So there was a saying, and it was, never mind. I'll bring it up when.
Well,
I remember
bring it
what
up when you
was.
remember
I
it.
don't remember.
Bring it up
Okay.
when you remember. So where was I? We were on. Yes.
What position is the mascot? Like, what kind of work does the mascot end up?
Okay. Oh yeah, we haven't gotten to the mascot. Oh yeah, we haven't. Thank you. We haven't gotten to the. Thank you. Great question. Did we finish? Oh no, we haven't not finished the lost child yet. But I'm coming to the mascot. I want to tell you how you can spot a lost child. Their world is so out of control that what they can control, they totally control. So if you go into a lost child's room, you're going to see the little shoes lined up in a row. You're going to see the little clothes in the closet. You're going to see lots of stuffed animals. Okay. Am I nailing something here? Somebody know? Okay. I know. I loved. You have no idea. For me to stand up here and watch the audience, I can see light bulbs go on, and it really tickles me because. Oh, by the way, I first saw this workshop 40 years ago. So you can imagine, it was like somebody was reading my mail. And so I did not develop this, guys. I'm not the originator of it, but I put my own little spin on it. But it was like, whoa, you know. In fact, it changed my life, actually. I went back to work. I hadn't worked outside the home for the first 40 years. I went back to work. I got into the graduate school at St. Louis University. Also talked my way into, no, I tested my way into that one. So, and it just changed my life to know that, because I always felt like, oh, here's the problem. When you grow up in that kind of family, it's not guilt, it's shame. And the problem with shame is that there's, not that I did something wrong, there's something wrong with me. And here's what I did at a very early age. I looked at mom and dad, and intuitively I knew, whoa, something's not right here, okay? But I had to survive. So what I did was I went, and I made them okay. And then I had to go, it made me from that time on not okay. So I pretty much turned against myself to survive. So it was a survival role. I did a good job of that. And any of you who've gone through stuff and survived, congratulations. You know, first of all, I know you've all been through stuff and you're here. You all drove here and found parking and you're listening to me. So I'm very impressed, because I'm sure you did not have it easy either. You know, if you've lived a life, you have not had it easy. I can tell you that. So, but that was that thing of I'm not okay. And that's the only way we can survive when that happens. Okay. So that lost child. Okay. So the other thing is, the lost child does not have a lot of emotional memories with people. So it has to be like just physical things. So when they go on vacation, the lost child is going to have her souvenirs. You know, like she's got the little pennant that tells them that they were in Chicago. You know, she's got the little shaker thing that she can have. Yes, that she can have on her shelf. So and here's the worst thing. I have a good friend who's an only child. She's the ultimate lost child. Okay. And her mother threw away her collection of stuffed animals. So it was like because they were dirt, she thought they had germs. That's the worst thing you can do to that little lost child, It's like, that's how she knows she's safe. That's how she makes her little world in her bed, in her little bed, her little covers. Got a picture of them? And now we're ready for the mascot. Okay, the mascot. All right, jobs for the mascot. Tell me what you think.
Social worker again.
That can be a social worker too, because you have the kind that are like the psychologist kind, and then you have the other kind. Yes, social worker. Also, like a cruise director. Okay, like even they fun. What'd you say? Oh,
An activities director.
yeah, that's just what I was saying. An activity director. Can you just see it? It's like we want some fun. So anyway, that mascot is kind of a delight. And here's what happens. Guess what mascots marry? Family heroes. Because the family hero is the ultimate in responsibility. Life is hard. I've got the world on my shoulder. And here's the mascot doing the fun. But the other thing is, the one problem with a mascot, they have a life of unfinished projects because they don't have the resilience and the character to follow through. I once had a secretary that came and did such a good job, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And I couldn't figure it out, but I'd hired a mascot. And so that mascot, was good in the beginning, but they don't have the follow through. Their life is a series of unbalanced checkbooks. And it's also the mascot that tends to be in multiple marriages. The mascot kind of flits from one to the other. So, none of this is exactly it, but it serves. Over the years, I've seen people go, oh yeah. And so they also see their brothers and sisters in the family, and see how that was all working. So any other questions on that? Yes, Larry.
So where does a only child fit in?
Okay.
I was an only child, my wife was an only child.
Well,
we only had one child.
That's an excellent question. Here's what an only child does. They look at mom and dad, and they figure out what is the thing that is not represented here, and somehow or another, the only child figures out what role that fits with those people. I've seen it people have told me it over and over. Yep, they're pretty, you got to remember, these are resilient people. These people are surviving, and so that's great question though. Any other question? Yes?
At what age do they take on that role? Like, could it happen at birth, at months, 1 year old, or do they have to be a little bit older?
You know what? I don't know if I know that answer. If I had to guess, I think because so much is different, so much is formed in our own life. I have a feeling that at like 5 and 6 years old, we really take it on really seriously. Maybe I don't think much before that, but I don't know the answer to that. Remember, I've never had a course in psychology, so I think probably that year when you leave your parents and go to school, that's when the whole world changes for you. Do you know? And so what you've learned in those 5 and 6 years, the thing we do now know are so foundational. Those rules that we learned, like children are made to be seen and not heard. If you don't shut up, I'll give you something to cry about. Those kind of rules are in there. And you know what? They get real hidden, and they're in there, but in the milieu, they're in there, always ready to pop up. And so we have to do a lot of healing work to do that. So having said that, what can we do about this? All right, I have a solution. So, okay. To me, there are 5 stages of healing. And actually, you don't have to write them, because Christine has provided a handout with these 5 stages. I am so impressed. First of all, I wrote this 40 years ago, so it was way before computers. And so I found an old hard copy, and she made handouts for you. So you're going to get some great handouts. Okay. The first stage is what I call the information stage. It's like it would be like if you go to the doctor and you say, "Doctor, I'm sick." Well, the doctor's going to say, "Well, where do you hurt?" And so you got to say, "Well, my arm hurts or my leg hurts." So the first stage is, I'm giving you information today. So, this is information. The second stage is the insight, or, oh, that fits. I see that. I see that in me, or I see that in my family, or I see that in my friend's family. So it's that insight stage, okay? The third stage is behavioral modification. So, yeah.
Now, the only reason I'm handing these out now is because I know some of you were madly taking notes, so that you can pay attention. So I don't want everybody focusing on this.
No, please don't read them. Please don't read them. Honestly, I really have a whole lot.
I just wanted you to know, we really did, Easton helped me a lot with the creation of these. So we did it for you guys so that you don't have to take notes. So trust us, it's here. Just pay attention to her, but you'll have it.
Okay. So, the third stage is the behavioral modification stage. Now, I call that the misery stage, okay? Because your outside behavior changes, but not the inside behavior, all right? So I'll give you an example. Okay, I decide to quit smoking. And I go through it all, I wear the patch, I manage, I sweat it out, I do it. And then my mom gets real sick and has to go to a nursing home. What do you think the first thing I'm going to do? Yes, go right back to it. That's why I call it the misery, because you've changed your outside behavior, but the inside hasn't changed. So the fourth stage is the deep emotional healing. And here's what is required for that. We have to relearn the ABCs, the affective, the behavioral, and the cognitive. Now, most of us are very good on the behavioral. And the reason I know that is you all made it here today on time, or in cars. Are basically on time, but you knew you were late. So, which means your cognitive was okay. But it's the affective. It's the feeling part of us. We are, as a culture, are not good with feelings. Here's the deal. There are 144 to 150 different feelings. But the good news is they're all in 4 categories: mad, sad, glad, and scared. That takes care of all of them. Mad can be anywhere from angry to enraged. Sad can be anywhere from sad to grief-stricken. See, it's just, glad can be happy to euphoric. It's just the range of it. But here's the problem. Grief, first of all, I think we live in a culture, I'm going to say United States, of unresolved grief. I don't think that at some level, I know I have not gotten over what happened in the pandemic. That is still affecting, it affects my life every time I have to fly. And your shoes come off and you're going through scanners and they're patting you, and so I don't think I think it turned our world upside down. Here's the problem with grief. It's all 3 of the feelings and not happy, not glad. So the mad, sad, and scared. What happens is we're mad at the situation that happened. We're not mad if someone dies. We're not mad at them. We're mad they died, okay? And then we see how sad we are and how much we miss them, okay? And then the scare sets in of like, what can I do? And the problem with grief, these 2 are hard. Scare is the hardest, because when we're scared, our brains turn to oatmeal. We become really little children when we get scared. When that heart pounds and the panic happens. In fact, I don't believe in anxiety attacks or panic attacks, because panic doesn't attack you and anxiety doesn't attack you. That's all. What happens is something will trigger the old scare from back there, and all of a sudden it's pouring out. That's the problem. When I would have a client come to me, usually I pretty much dealt with middle-aged clients, because before that, you're going to school, you're raising a family, you're building your career, you hit that midlife, and all of a sudden, some of the energy goes, and you start to see some of the aging process to start. Sometimes you have to wear glasses, sometimes the hearing goes a little bit. At that time is when many times all the old stuff starts pouring out. So almost all my clients were middle-aged people. And in fact, I never worked with a teen. I couldn't work with kids, but that's why I could get away with it, because I only work with adults. So, and when that stuff comes pouring out, it turns your brain into oatmeal. I mean, you really feel like you're an alien in this world. It's a really hard place to be. But I'm going to give you a couple ways on maybe you can do some healing on that. But I'm going to tell you the 5th stage. The 5th stage is spiritual maturation. And that's when you can be able to feel with those feelings, you can behave, and you can have cognitive, there's a real, it comes together. That's the spiritual maturation. And that's when you can also, there can be with the God of your choice too. That comes into being with it. One of the things we can do is, every day, you can put your hands over your chest, and you can, first of all, there's a little girl and our boy in every single one of us that is so alive that it is unbelievable. I've been doing inner child work for 40 years before anybody knew what an inner child was. But that little boy and girl in there, and first of all, they love you. They love you so much, and they want you well, and they want to help you. And sometimes when they're telling you stuff from there, it hurts to hear it, but it's not coming from outside people. It's already in there. It's there. One thing you can do is you place your hands over your heart and say, I give you permission to feel all your feelings, all of them. And that can make a big difference. It's almost like that little child has a permission. And so, because we live in a culture, first of all, I'm talking about Jackie Kennedy. You know, it's like that stoic thing. Let's pull up by the bootstraps and go on, you know. We need to grieve our losses. And our losses, people, are not just death. Our losses can be finance, relationships, you know, our world as it is. I mean, in America, we're so polarized. I mean, I'm grieving that. I think we're so lucky to live here. You know, I think we're just so lucky to live here. And so that grief, I think, is part of it. So at least if you can grieve your own, and don't stop it. If you're feeling sad, cry, let it go. It's so healing. I will tell you, I had a staff. By the way, when I was a little kid, my mom asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said a boss. I wanted to be boss. Anyway, my staff had a lot of, I had them for 20 years. They never left me. Nobody ever quit on me. So anyway, I retired. So anyway, I used to say to them, they would have things happen, losses, a lot of losses. I'd say, you have to hurt till you don't hurt anymore. There's no shortcut on hurt. And don't ever let anybody tell you that, you know, you should suck it up and go on. It just doesn't work that way. We have to hurt till we don't hurt anymore. I'm hurting now with my granddaughter. And so I've learned some coping skills. You know, I'm taking care of myself as best I can. I got a lot of prayer and support. And so I'm learning that. And I'm going to tell you something. So grateful that I don't have a bunch of old stuff, guys. I dealt with the old stuff. So my stuff is here and now, plain old unadulterated grief, you know, just watching her hair fall out and watching her go to chemo and watch her then end up with 2 grand mal seizures a couple weeks ago, and, you know, just all, and the drive back and forth, and the cost of staying in hotels in Houston, you know, and my daughter is a single parent with 4 children, you know, and so, yes, that's really personal, but anyway, so I've got some coping skills, and I'm here doing this, you know, and I was looking forward to it, and so that was really important to me. So I want you to be, and I want you to be kind to yourself. I just want you to be really kind to yourself and kind to that little child inside. If you give her permission, she'll talk to you. She'll let you know. And you know, and if you're hurt, you know, if somebody hurts you, tell them that hurt. You know, don't suck things in, because we've all got. Everybody's got some still. I don't have mine's not all gone. It's never all gone, but enough that I'm okay. So any other questions?
I just have a statement.
Yeah, yes.
That's okay. So
Sure.
I used to be a therapist. I'm a social worker as well. And one of the things that I did, and I told my people, and I do this myself, is if you don't feel comfortable showing your emotions, like throughout the day, depending on what's going on, schedule cry time. I literally schedule it, and I watch things that I know, and
Okay.
they're usually like happy crying things.
Yes.
But it helps
Both.
like get those emotions out whenever I plan for it, so that way it doesn't pop out all over the time, like randomly when I can't control it.
Exactly, because there's a difference between stuffing it and delaying it, because there are certain situations it's not proper, and so, but you know it's there, and so I'm going to give you time. Very good, thank you. That's a really good suggestion. And I'm going to tell you,
Yes, I know.
you know, I'm grateful that I learned some of this. Early, before my children got too old. I'm gonna read something to you. First of all, okay. So my daughter Amy, his mom actually, Amy was going to be. She was in school, and they were going to have show and tell. Okay, and we had her puppy had died. Her dog had died. So she wanted something to be able to show and tell. So we went to a carnival at her school, and she got a goldfish, okay? And she was so proud of that goldfish. You probably know what's coming. Anyway, so one day I got up, and Amy was sitting on the hearth, sobbing. And I said, "What's wrong, Amy?" And she said, "Lara died." And Lara was the goldfish. And so I was far enough along to not go, "Well, sweetheart, goldfish don't live real long. We'll go get you another goldfish." I literally sat down on the hearth by her, and I started crying because she was hurting so bad. And I cried, and she cried, and then she stood up and said, "Well, I got to go to school." And I've got goosebumps because I really want you to hear this. I had given that little child permission to go all the way through that grief so that she resolved it. And I'm telling you, most of us here have not ever had that permission. We just haven't. And people didn't know. As I told you, they didn't know. They didn't know any better. And I was grateful. At least I had learned that. And so it was like, wow, you can really see you can heal fast if it's not triggered by old stuff. One thing I do want you to know, though, if you're triggered by, if your reaction to something is way out of proportion to what happened, I want you to know it's triggering something old. I promise you. So just examine it. See what it is. Okay. See what it's triggering. Okay. So anyway, after this, Amy came home from school, and she wanted to have a funeral. She wanted to have a funeral for Lara. So we put Lara on the back of Lara was sitting on the toilet, and so Amy took Lara, and she bent over the toilet. She went, "Bye, Lara. I really, really, really love you." Flush. And then she wrote this. I've got the copy of it. "My fish, Lara and Lily. Lara I received first, and next was Lily. I got them both on Saturday, September 14th, 1985. I got my fish at the Venice Carnival. I got their food at Kroger. Lara was bigger than Lily. Saturday, September 21st, 1985, Lily died. Then Lara died. Tuesday, September 24th. The purple flower," we also had flowers. We had flowers on the back of the truck. "The flower is bigger, so it is for Lara, and the white flower is smaller, so it is for Lily. I was sad when they died. Lara is for large and Lily is for little. P.S. The flowers represent Lara and Lily. Order of fish. Lara, 8 days. Lily, 11 days. Sparky, 2 months. Finny, 3 months. Winnie, 5 months. Bluffy died the next day." I so treasure this, but one of the reasons I treasure it was I was so sad when they died. Can you imagine how healing that was? Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, it touches me. So, okay. I think I'm about finished. What time? Oh, my goodness.
We're okay.
Oh, my goodness. So, yes. I wanted to finish by 4:10, and I'm only 2 minutes over.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
So,
just one more last question. Is something I missed? Anything? Oh, I got to tell them something.
Okay.
You were a fantastic audience. I just want you to know that. I have had the best time up here. So you were an incredible audience. Thank you.
Okay, so I did finally remember what I was trying to ask earlier.
Okay.
Okay, and so when you were talking about that, we revert back
Yeah.
in that time of crisis, right?
Yes.
To whatever we first identified was our major so is that where it comes, like you can fill in the blank, once always does that ever come?
Kinda, yeah.
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 So if like for somebody like lying, I don't know which maybe child that would have been, right? It was their coping mechanism, and it's like, well, once a liar, always a liar. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
If I had to guess, I'm just going to take this as a liar. It might be a lost child because they'd be so scared of the world. I think they live in a really unsafe world, and so if I had to guess, Now, by the way, the truth teller in this thing. The identified patient, the scapegoat. The scapegoat gets there and says, "Hey, wait a minute. You think it's me? My old man drinks too much." Yes, yeah, that's the truth teller there. There's a lot of delusion. Of course, the mascot, there's a lot of delusion with the mascot, so.
Well, and I think one thing that I was thinking about when I was listening to Susan again, was in terms of like caregiving and things like that. It's kind of like that analogy that we've heard so many times. You've got to put your own oxygen mask on
Yes.
first before you can really help somebody else. So by learning these different tools, right, about ourselves and helping ourselves cope with things and kind of understand maybe why we react the way we do or why, certain things like that, then we're going to also maybe better understand, right, our loved one or whoever that might be, and then be able to, one, forgive ourselves, right, because sometimes we do get very critical of ourselves in those caregiving roles and things. So if we have a better understanding, maybe we won't beat ourselves up so much and be able to do a better job in that caregiving role. So I hope so think about it, ponder on it, but I think, there's a lot of value in what we learned today, and I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have one more. I have actually one more comment on that.
Sure.
It also gives us compassion for ourselves and for the members of our family. First of all, they develop that survival role too. They're not bad things, I do have to tell them one more thing. I'm going to tell you the good part. I got to tell you the good part of all four of those roles. Okay. The family hero is a very responsible person. You can count on them. Their word is gold, okay? The scapegoat, I just said it, tells the truth. The scapegoat does not live in delusion, okay? And that lost child is that creative one, the writers and the poets and that kind of thing. And the mascot brings fun into the family. I mean, every family needs some fun. So these are not bad roles. They have really good part. We just don't want them to turn to concrete. We don't want to live out of those roles and not be able to, like you said, develop all of them. We want to be responsible. We want to tell the truth. We want to be creative and have fun. So we want to develop all those. But in times of stress, I will guarantee you will revert to the one that have helped you survive. So thank you. I had to make one more comment.
I love it. Perfect. I know. I wish we had more time. And the other takeaway is that we all have already been survivors in one way or another, because
Amen.
there are so many different things during the course of life, and we've all lived a certain amount of life by this point. And so we are all survivors, but maybe this will help to make that a little bit easier going forward, because the struggles will continue. But that's part of life.
Absolutely.
And learning. So thank you everybody for coming.